Give it to him, pal. Give it to him, pal. Have you ever met the guy that you wanted to hate? And when you went to pull your strap, something told you to wait. Now let me give y'all a little demonstration. See, I ran into these dudes from the area nation. It was a Friday, my day, exit off the highway. Being derelict in the caddy, yo, the flyway. Went to get a package of beaties. I was enjoying this immaculate evening. All of a sudden I heard somebody in the back of us beeping. Kind of annoying, like a track is repeating. They harassed some blacks this weekend. Well, me and D, we was actually creeping like some G's. We parked. I ain't never sleeping like MDs. Then I felt this crazy vibe, and I'm thinking maybe why. Enter a white crazy guy with crazy eyes and a partner ready to start the Armageddon. F around and get it by the arm, nigga, leg on my head. Don't wanna have to go to war like this was Becca. I'm only trying to broaden your perspective. We're back to the lecture. Remember me and deep up in the caddy when the sky starts. Peace
and love. This is yours truly, General Pow Shadowz of the House of Hip Step. And that song that you were just listening to is called Cool, K-O-O-L, available now on all streaming platforms. It's a song surrounding my book and the issues around my book, which concern the N-word, right? Things dealing with the N-word, NGR. What does it mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective by yours truly, General Pow Shadowz, also known as author P.E McCallum. All right, author of this great book right here that's available on Amazon in paperback, audiobook, and Kindle. And that song is about kind of goes along with today's topic. You know what I'm saying? We're back with another good and informative video. And the intro song, Cool, kind of like fits the theme of today, because the theme of today is the swastika and how the swastika is related to the N-word. Because as you know, on this NGR platform, we deal with all issues surrounding the history, origins, etymology, social ramifications, contemporary uses of the N-word, right? And everything related to that, subjects, topics, stories, etc. That's what this platform is about. And like I said, today's lesson is taken from page 61 in my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? In a section called the swastika, page 61. If you have a copy of my book, you can read along. Turn to page 61 right now if you have a copy and read with me. And if you don't have a copy, after this video, shoot over to Amazon and get your copy, paperback, audiobook, or Kindle today. And in the next video, you can read along with us, all right? So we want to compare. What I'm doing in this section is comparing how the swastika and the N-word are very similar, you know, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So let's get into today's lesson. The swastika. The N-word is not the only word that has been taken out of its original context and has now come to represent something completely different than its original meaning. For example, the swastika, as we know it today, for many of us means something deplorable and revolting. Many of us are immediately turned off by the mere sight of the symbol or mention of the word swastika. However, the truth is that the swastika is an ancient symbol, much like NGR. Many different cultures have used the swastika for at least 5,000 years before Adolf Hitler used it for his Nazi flag. Many different cultures, I'll say that again, many different cultures used the swastika for at least 5,000 years before Adolf Hitler used it for his Nazi flag. According to the Holocaust Encyclopedia and encyclopedia.ushmm.org, the word swastika comes from the Sanskrit word swastika, which means good fortune or well-being. Its motif, the symbol we now know as the Nazi flag, is said to have first been used in Eurasia as early as 7,000 years ago. Eurasia, 7,000 years ago. Since the ancient ones were very in tune with nature, it is suggested that it represents the movement of the sun through the sky. We find this type of symbology involving the sun in many ancient cultures, As one who appreciates the Dharma of the Buddha myself, I'm intrigued by the fact that the swastika is a sacred symbol in Buddhism and Hinduism. The swastika is a common sight on temples and houses in India and Indonesia. The Holocaust Encyclopedia lists critical facts about the swastika. 1. The swastika was long used to symbolize well-being in ancient societies, including those in India, China, Africa, Native Americans, and Europe. 2. Adolf Hitler designed the Nazi flag in 1920. He combined the swastika with the 3 colors of the German imperial flag. 3. Nazi symbols, including the swastika flag, are banned in several countries today, including Germany. Does this remind you of anything? Like the swastika, the ancient ones used the N-word to mean something prestigious and regal. Today, both have been redefined by Europeans and now represent something offensive to most people outside the Nazi or white supremacist ideology. I'm going to repeat that. Today, both the swastika and the N-word have been redefined by Europeans and now represent something offensive to most people outside the Nazi or white supremacist ideology. When I mention that the Europeans changed the original meanings of both the N-word and the swastika, it is not in any way an attempt to paint a negative narrative of Europeans. Again, this expose is only to make specific facts known and is written with those intentions from a purely scholarly perspective. I believe all forms of hate speech and hate crimes should be outlawed in this country and worldwide, and those who participate in such crimes should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Racism should be eliminated and shunned by humanity. And again, that was taken from page 61 in my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective, from a section titled The Swastika. Now let's unpack that. So basically what we have today with the N-word, we've grown up to know the N-word for a lot of different reasons, mainly negative reasons, right? Mainly it's been something deplorable to Black and indigenous people. We know throughout history it was used by racists and white supremacists in a negative way towards our people when Black and indigenous people in this country were being lynched, hung from trees all over this country, when they were being sprayed with water hoses, when they were being beaten by crooked police, in country clubs and in school teacher corridors, within schools, private offices of corporations. The N-word is being used in a derogatory fashion. Now, the odd thing about that is that Black and indigenous people have somehow taken that, basically, you have to say that Black and indigenous people have retaken the N-word, taken it back, because like this platform and like my book educates you to the fact that the N-word was first used among Africans, among Black and indigenous people in the continent we now call Africa, right? First, and it meant, in the ancient hieroglyphics, deity. It meant ruler. In the ancient Ge'ez language, monarch. It meant, it's Negus, NGS, monarch, ruler. The king or the queen of the land, the god or the goddess, right? But now, just like the swastika, Hitler took a symbol that was used to mean well-being by cultures as far back as 7,000 years ago in Eurasia, right? When there was a continent there was a continent they called Eurasia. This is why I love history, because we tend to think that things have been the way that they've been always like this forever, and they have not. There was a time when you would see the swastika on ancient temples in India and Indonesia, and it would mean good fortune, to wish you well, to wish you well-being and good fortune. There were times when you would come into Africa and you would encounter the ruler of these certain territories around Kush and Kemet, or Ethiopia and Egypt, and people would be referring to these Ingas, these Netgers, right? And that would mean these niggas, these Nagas, these Neguses, and that would mean that they were the people who were in power, deified beings, right? Like the Naga, or the deities of ancient India, which the ancient Indians are descendants of the ancient Ethiopians, or the Kushites. The Kushites inhabited that territory called India today in Asia, and they are the founders of that territory. I talk about that extensively in my book. So it is possible. What this shows us is that it is possible for people to take something that was completely positive, it meant something totally positive, and over time these things can become to mean something totally negative and offensive, and something becomes something deplorable to you, right? Degrading, something that you never want to use, disparaging. So this happened with the swastika. This happened with the N-word. There was a time on the planet that the N-word was looked at as something that was positive. So, you know, so it's funny, like when racists, or what people who practice white supremacy in real time, meaning that they look at people with eyes of discrimination, with eyes of subjugation, and they think that these people who don't look like them need to be oppressed under them. That is the ideology of white supremacy. And what these racists and white supremacists don't realize is that their symbol, especially these Aryans, right, these Nazis, right, they are using a symbol that was invented by the same people that they are calling hateful words and describing them with hateful rhetoric. They're using their symbol. 7,000 years ago, the people of ancient India and Indonesia were dark-skinned people, melanated, highly melanated people, the same people that these white supremacists hate. There was a time when the Europeans, when the Greeks came into Africa, because the Greeks will tell you they learned everything that they learned from the Africans. And Greek culture, Greek and Roman culture, is the pinnacle culture of Western society, right? And they will tell you in their writings, people like Pythagoras, they will tell you they got their philosophies, they got their sciences from Egypt. They owe it all to Egypt. Where is Egypt? Egypt is Kemet. Kemet is the ancient sacred territory of the Ingers, the Niggas, or what we call today the niggas. And we've totally changed that word. Black and indigenous people have taken that word and changed it into mean something of like a term of endearment. How did we do that? It's amazing how we did that. Nobody in recent times, outside of Pow Shadowz and some other people, researchers and scholars who've done some papers and things like that on the internet, and some studies, have come and told us that the N-word means something that is like a god, a king or queen, or goddess, deity, ruler, right? In recent times, this hasn't been told to us by the educational system, by Western society. Authors and scholars like me are revealing this information, but we didn't know that as a black community in modern times. But yet somehow something deep within our DNA told us to embrace it as a term of endearment. Maybe this is why black and indigenous people, maybe this is the answer to why do black and indigenous people use the N-word as a term of endearment. How? When it's been used by Nazis and Aryans and skinheads and racist white supremacists as something totally negative. How did we turn around and internalize that to mean something like a term of endearment? I love my niggas. I'm a real nigga. And things like that. Use it all through our songs, all in our culture. And we don't see it as negative. But like Eazy-E said in his song, Niggas for Life, niggas say nigga we cool butt. Crackers say nigga quick to nut up. NWA, Eazy-E. Rest in paradise, Eazy-E. So it's odd that how we can use the word and give each other a pass. But now that you are starting to learn about the N-word, that NGR comes from the ancient African lands, and it meant king, ruler, deity, a deified one, and things of that nature. Now we know that nigga is divine. Wow. Still doesn't matter though to some people, all right? Because the N-word is so offensive to people. Like I said in my last video, it's probably the most offensive word in the English language according to dictionary.com. And no matter what knowledge that I bring, no matter what information I present, there's going to be people that just don't like it. Because it has such a tumultuous history that's just that complicated. All right? Everybody, I encourage you and I suggest that you run out and get my book if you want to be informed, if you want to know where the N-word comes from, what does it mean, how it got to be such an offensive word today, all the way from its beginnings up to now contemporary times. Please get my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective, available on Amazon and audiobook, paperback, and Kindle. Family, listen, it's very important that we spread love in the world and not hate. You know what I'm saying? And most importantly, that we hip step over all obstacles, any obstacles, anything that gets in our way today. You know what I'm saying? We're going to hip step over that. Hip hop influence production, stimulating the earth people. The mindset is nature, is natural, green, economic independence. This is what we're about, y'all. Spread love, not hate. Keep hip stepping, man. Peace and love. Salute.